Okay, it's 7 p.m. I'd like to call to order the January 15th, 2014 meeting of the Port of Siuslaw Commission, called to order. First item on the agenda that we do have is approval of minutes from the regular meeting on November 20th, 2013. Everybody had a chance to review them? Motion.
I move that we approve the minutes for November, whatever you said that November date was. Wednesday, the
20th of November.
yeah,
16th.
thanks, that one.
Okay, motion's been made to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I just have
Wrong
the
dates.
16th of October minutes. Do we have 20th also?
Yeah,
On my approval of minutes, it has a regular meeting on 20th
yeah,
of
look at
November.
16 October.
Oh, my
That's why I was
apologies.
confused.
Wow.
Should be November.
I'm sorry about that. I shall get the November meeting minutes right away.
The
Oh,
20th
so
of
those aren't
November.
really, are they? I thought that was just a typo on the date.
Yeah, it's actually slipped around.
Slipped the wrong minutes to us.
Yeah,
So we'll put that aside, and perhaps while she's doing that,
I retract my motion.
Thank you.
we'll just
You
go
can still
into
approve them, they just
remarks
don't
from
have the
citizen
meeting
groups,
packet.
perhaps? We're waiting.
Do what?
Go right to the citizen remarks and come back to the minutes.
I think we could.
You have to pull them up on the computer.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many people have signed up to speak, but I think we could open the meeting for the remarks from citizens.
Mr. Chair, we have two people.
Okay, thank you. First, we have David Sweeney that would like to talk to us about the Hercules.
Good evening, gentlemen. Last meeting, Dina came up and she said that I had looked up the wrong Hercules. Okay. And I should go to gohercules.com, which I did, and that does show Hercules reservation software, but right below it also shows, gohercules.com, the porn site. So, I'm sorry, I didn't look up the wrong one. I looked up Hercules ERP. Okay. Mr. Fleener here put out a request for a proposal, an RFP, request for proposal for an independent bookkeeping firm or program, which is exactly what Hercules ERP already is. And I will refer to the comments made by the state auditor when he looked at the system, when it was first put into place, when you paid all the big bucks for all this technology you have here, okay? And he referred to it as a system that had bookkeeping technology that they hadn't seen in the United States. And he had a lot of derogatory comments about it. That was the state inspector. The commission, the bookkeeper for the port, he couldn't speak very highly of it until Bob brought in the CEO of Hercules, and I don't know if it was the CEO, may not have been the CEO, but it was somebody in charge of whoever sold you guys the software, okay, and put the bookkeeper on the same page. And that's all in the minutes, okay? All in the minutes, in the past, okay? Now, enough of that. I'd like to tell a little story. I was the head of the transportation department for the Veterans Home for many years. And I was taught to run that department from a full-bird colonel, a brilliant leader. And he taught me that to always lead from a position of interacting with your people leadership by helping all your employees. Leadership in many different forms, but never with fear and antagonism. Now, I wrote a letter to the commissioners. Did you all get a copy of it?
Which letter are you referring to?
The one it gave Jay Keller, Jay here, a copy of it, and Bob got a copy of it. Did you pass it on to the other commissioners?
I did.
Which
I
letter?
didn't get a letter personally from you.
We got a letter from the Ethics Commission, some sort of rambling complaint that you had.
A rambling complaint.
That they refused to prosecute because it wasn't within their jurisdiction, nor did we violate any of the rules or laws that you accused us of. Mr. Sweeney, I'd like to know, what is your purpose here tonight? You keep coming here with the same attitude. What are you trying to demonstrate here? Your lack of knowledge? Your lack of understanding of how a port works? Because you're doing a really good job. I just don't understand how you can continue to
the
embarrass
reason I
yourself
come here-
in
No,
front
no,
of the
okay.
constituents with the
Look,
same
would you
argument.
shut up,
No,
sir?
sir,
Let's
I
keep
have the
this
same,
civil.
I have the same capability as you do. I don't come here to embarrass people. I don't come
No,
here.
you do that just fine on your own.
No, I think you're doing a good job too. So why don't you just come out and tell us what it is that you want us to do? What is it? What is your
I
special
want you
interest?
to keep the support,
Okay.
not a
Okay,
business
what-
economic, because
let's
there's
put
no
this on-
evidence that's ever been changed from that.
Let's put this on the table then. What is your gripe? That you don't want us to give you
You
free
don't have
subsidies
30,
anymore?
you don't have a minimum of 30% water-related, marine-related industries.
That's not required under the law.
Show me where it doesn't say that.
You show me where it does, Mr. Sweeney.
Okay,
Mr. Sweeney, I'm gonna take charge of this right here. If you have a complaint, we'd be happy to listen to a particular complaint you have. I don't think any of us wanna sit here and listen to you and Commissioner Fleener banter back and forth.
I certainly
If
don't.
you have a point that you'd like to make,
well, the
I'm
whole
willing to
point I
s-
came back here this
Make your
evening was
point.
was to complain about being intimidated and threatening into signing an agreement that has not been voted on by all you people yet. And that's fine, I signed it, okay?
Which agreement are you referring to?
The mortgage agreement. Okay?
Okay.
They went back and changed everything in it that Margaret and I had complained
Who
about.
is they? Let's go back to
Staff.
this. Oh, staff. So staff is inappropriately changing the rules by which
No,
we
I didn't
govern.
say that.
So what are you talking about then? Why don't you be clear, be concise? Let us understand what it is that you're trying to get us to do for you.
I would like you to do for me just what you're doing for Lane County. You're suing Lane County for exactly the same thing that's going on here, for covering up crimes.
You know, you're obfuscating your case here. Why don't you just tell us specifically what it is that you want us to do for you? You want us to continue to give you a welfare handout? Is that what it is?
When have you ever given me a welfare handout, sir?
That's what I'm asking.
Commissioner Fleener?
When have you ever given me a welfare handout?
Let's terminate this conversation. I think this could go out of hand real quick.
Okay, it will. I came here
I'm
tonight
the
to say
chair of
that my
this-
health, my doctor has told me that I can't keep doing this, okay?
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
gonna
fine.
stop doing it, but I will monitor it from the outside. And I'm confident that something will eventually happen, because I think Mr. Fleener has opened a can of worms by suing the county when the same thing is going on right here.
Well, of course it is, in your mind.
Okay, that's enough between the two of you. Thank you.
You're an idiot.
Dave Sweeney, listen to me. When you have a complaint, you'd like to come here and address this council, you're welcome at any time to come here and address us with a complaint, a suggestion, something. But to come in here and throw out broad statements, I think the commission is not gonna sit here and listen to a bunch of broad statements that have been made, generalized statements.
I mean, I've been doing this for a couple of years
Thank you,
now,
that-
listening to this
Do I know you're a
garbage.
professional politician?
No, you're a
Thank you.
professional complainer.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
It'll all come around, what goes around comes around.
Well, and that's true for you too.
I'd like to go ahead and finish this speaker sign up before we go back to,
Now, that's another threat.
thank you, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Mr. Langberg?
Chief.
Chief?
Chief, come on.
I haven't had the pleasure.
I'm Jim. I'm the new fire chief, and I just have been going around introducing myself to the different councils and other governmental authorities that we serve, and I just wanted to say hello and see if you had any questions for me and in any particular concerns about the fire department that you'd like me to address or anything like that.
At this time, I mean, it was kind of off the wall for me. I haven't had time to formulate any questions, and I'm sure I may have some in the future. And I know the port and the SAISLA, the district has worked well with each other, and I'm sure we will continue. And can't speak for the other,
Are you doing fine?
can't speak for the other commissioners. Maybe they have some questions. I think it would be I do have questions coming from the commercial fishing aspect side of this and the boat basin and stuff, and what your response is to a boat fire. I think I'd like to sit down at some point and have a discussion.
You bet.
I mean, we've had the Moe's fire in years past. I mean, that took everybody by surprise, and maybe we could be a little bit better prepared for something in the future.
Well, would love to do that, and anything that we can do to work with you on that, we'd like to do. We've actually had some discussion at the officer level about should we get a fire on a boat. One of the district that I worked with the longest, which was in Ridgefield, Washington, has a port, and they also have a boat launch, and they have a large area full of boat houses with long gangways and this and that. And it was a real problem for us as a fire department because we would get fires in there occasionally, and it was a long stretch from the parking lot down the gangway to whatever slip that it was in. So it's similar to this. It was actually larger, but I think at some point what we would like to do is maybe arrange a drill where we can practice laying our hose, what we call a shoulder carry, to get it down there and see how long it takes us and what problems we encounter and that type of thing.
What obstacles you encounter on the docks?
And then I'll just throw at you, one of the things that they did was they actually put in a standpipe system. And it was not a rated standpipe system with steel pipe for a true FDC. It was actually made out of PVC that had some flex in it. But it did give us a connection to save some time in having to stretch that hose out. Our pre-connected hose lines are only 150 feet, and then I think we carry an additional 300 feet of, I think it's 3.5 or 3-inch hose in there. So depending on where the situation is at, we could theoretically run out of hose. If we have a standpipe connection, they can connect to it and then connect closer to the site and get to the problem sooner, because I would imagine that the fishing boats that are here, they generate a lot of the economy, and there are people's livelihoods, so anything we can do to get in there and knock that fire down as soon as possible and save property is going to have an important impact on this community, and we're interested in doing that.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
First of all, I really appreciate you coming here, being proactive about coming to other small government agencies. That's really a great start. And speaking for myself only, I really would like to see greater cooperation from the local governing agencies such as yours and the port, because I think that we have a lot to bring to your agency as well as you can bring things to us. So I would really encourage a nice tight working relationship between the port and the fire district. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, of course, manager to manager, I'm sure that we would be supportive of that. And having a fire drill or drills, I think, would be wonderful. I mean, that would give me a sense of relief, knowing that we do have the ability to serve our resident commercial fishing fleet and others. So, good suggestion.
Yes, we do have some liveaboards down there, so it's people that are living there full time, so.
Or just a mechanical problem, one of those things that's unattended. Those are what we've seen as the bigger problem, because nobody knows it's going until it gets big, and they see it, and then it gets bigger and it starts to spread to other boats.
And I do have to say that your staff, all of the 2 years that I've been here, have been extremely cooperative. We've always worked well together. Being on the WELOG that I am sit on, you know, brings that. They've always been very, very helpful at anything we've ever asked with the fire suppression systems and everything. So you've got a good staff.
And they do use the port property for drills from time to time, which is great.
Yeah,
You know,
it's been very helpful.
Continue to do that.
I would like to see that.
Speaking of those unattended fire events, let's say 3 o'clock in the morning, we have an unfortunate incident. How is that reported? Who is monitoring that? Do we have any type of automatic equipment that's capable of responding?
No.
So it just has to be called in?
Citizens would have to call it in.
Is there any electronic monitoring capabilities out there that you know of?
I think we may cover that with cameras here.
But they're not being monitored 24/7 though.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
You could theoretically tie that in, see if dispatch at Florence Police Department would be interested in doing
Your folks have been working with us on the cameras that we have and the cameras that we're getting ready to put in. So we'll bring that up as far as monitoring, because that very well could take care of that problem.
Sure.
That would be excellent, yeah.
Super.
It's better to intercede early than later.
that. All right, well, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you, Chief.
tonight.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Chief.
absolutely. And
Shake hands if I.
yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming by.
Chief, it's a pleasure. Sure we're talking.
Good seeing you again.
See you at the next meeting.
Yeah.
No one else has signed up to speak. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? I'll waive the informality one time.
You have a gentleman here, maybe?
Dave? Did you have something to say?
No?
Come on. You'd end this on a better note.
Okay, so back to the minutes. I would like for you to refer to your copy. There was a typo up in the heading, but if you look at the bottom of the page, it is indeed
Oh, I see.
the
I thought that was,
November
yeah.
meetings. I apologize for the typo. It has been corrected, and if they are approved, Terry will sign, Commissioner Duman will sign the corrected copy this evening.
I thought we did the SDAO thing last time,
Yeah,
and
so the content is all there. It was just a typo. I neglected to change the date in
So
there.
I will make a second to the original motion.
I withdrew. So I need to reiterate my motion and approve the minutes for the meeting of 20 November 2013, correcting the title, which says Wednesday, 16 October 2013, to the correct date of 20 November. And with that correction, I would like to move that we approve the minutes.
And I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passed. Next. Now we need to ratify bills that we have paid in November and bills paid in December. Would these have to be accepted for each month?
We can actually make a motion to do both at the same time. So I ratify the bills paid in November of $104,946.56, and also in that same motion ratify the bills paid in December, $87,217.99,
Second.
with comment.
A second motion,
Right.
reserving comment.
Yes.
Which comment?
At the very end of here, we have the campground occupancy. And I really appreciate, apparently we've gone to Excel spreadsheet, and I really appreciate that. I would like to suggest that the bottom of the first table, right above REV, we have another one called Adjusted 3-Year Average to Date, where we actually take a look at over to the right-hand column where it says occupancy nights. We have a running 3-year average so that we can actually compare year-to-date average for, let's say, December to the 3-year average year-to-date. So we know whether we're making any headway or not. And that should be a relatively easy incorporation in Excel.
Piece of cake.
Sure. So that was just my comment, because I didn't know where else I would be able to talk about this. And that would certainly give me an idea of where we're going or not going. And I like the hiker-biker numbers, very impressive, particularly on the initial first-year rollout.
It gets a little cold out there in come November and December.
But I would assume that April, May, June, July, August, we should see some pretty good numbers there.
Absolutely.
So that is really a good start. So I appreciate that. So with that, Mr. Chair, I'm ready to vote unless other comments.
I would like to make one comment and just basically ask a question of staff. How come we can't see occupancy of the Mortgage, the marina?
We can certainly do that. We
Sure.
can certainly add that on there.
I think that would
Good
be
idea.
Okay, thank you.
And if we could have a running 3-year average also,
Yeah, we'll make them the same.
yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Good idea.
With that being said, motion's been made and seconded. Do we have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye. Excellent. Good job, Dean.
Old business, Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund update, I believe will come from staff.
It's coming along. You can see that if you watch the news, we're making headway. They allocated somewhere around $3 million more coming out of the trust fund that has been than prior, as they try to cover, tie up some of the loopholes that allowed the money to be used for non-port projects over the years. Looking to get another 10 million here pretty soon, and we'll be going to Washington in March and by that time we should even have further information on this. So it's coming along rapidly, far from the $1 billion that we need, but a whole lot closer than what we were 2 years ago. So Congressman DeFazio has done a great job of heading up that fight, and continues to do so, and it's coming along real well.
I did notice that Mr. Springer is in the audience. He seems to be our liaison with that. Self-appointed, we appointed or something. And we appreciate your work. Do you have anything you might add to that?
No, I just made a note that you're apparently going to Washington in March. Is that
Yes.
what you just said? And could you tell kind of what is going to happen there? What's the agenda? What is the purpose?
I can send you a copy of the agenda. It's fairly lengthy, but it's this is through the NPWA, which is the Pacific Northwest Waterways Association, and they're the folks that really head this drive up every year for anything to do with the Pacific waterways and Northern Pacific waterways. And we get a chance, the ports that go there, to sit down individually with the representatives that we can make meetings with, Merkley, Wyden, DeFazio, those folks, and have one-on-ones with them on behalf of our own port. But at the same time, this is where we go back with our lobbyists and the lobbyists that the PNWA hire and have for the ports in general to sit down with our representatives and the folks in the transportation line and that sort of thing, to sit and bring up our concerns, find out what kind of help they need in lobbying, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty fast 5 days of spending time in those buildings and getting these folks in, our representatives, in front of the people that they're supporting. So it's I'll send you over the. In fact, I've got something I wanted to send to you, the latest numbers that came out of the PNWA that just were released today as well, because I know you have an interest in it.
Is there a timeline of when, like, you present there, and then is there a timeline of presentations are made to the, I guess it's the Corps of Engineers or whoever that decides which port gets how much money?
We're not
Is it-
involved in any of that. What we're there for is to talk to our representatives about what it is that we need, and they're the ones that get into those conversations. And those are ongoing.
Okay.
Those continue all the time. That's why when we see some of this breaking news where they got $10 million more or what have you, we're as surprised as anybody, depending on what vote happened when. But did you ever tap into Ray's? I believe I've sent you Ray's. I never could pronounce his last name correctly. Our professional lobbyist. It's-
Boo Hager?
Boo Hager, thank you very much.
No, I have not, but I will do that, thank you. Yeah, I guess my interest is, again, and I'll stop here, is that, just, if money comes forward, there's gonna be 350 zillion ports that are trying to get it, right? So my interest has always been, what is it that we are doing to put unique issues in front of those folks about our particular port? Because that would seem to be the whole skill set here would be, yeah, there's 1,000 ports out there, but ours is important because,
We send, these, understand that we deal with IFA, we deal with the ports people in Salem. We're always filling out different surveys and such to send to them, to tell them what it is that they need. They've been down here. We have Caddy McEwen comes down. Peter DeFazio's staff has been down. I mean, we're always in contact with these people. In fact, Dina and I on Friday are going down to another meeting with some of the staff from the governor's office and from the IFA in Salem to talk about two different things: the issues with dredging and the issues with the Southern Ports Coalition that has been built to work with the governor's office as well. So it's a continual effort.
okay, well, thank you, I appreciate your efforts.
Sure.
I would like to expound on that a little bit. I think my question would be, DeFazio's staff, Caddy McEwen staff, they represent more than one port district. And I see your point, Mr. Springer. What are we saying, that we need that money more than Charleston, Port of Charleston, or the Port of Newport? And do we need to start something, program?
My understanding was, I think we talked last time, my understanding was that there's a specific allocation for small ports. And correct me if I'm wrong, and that in fact, Newport does not qualify because they're too big.
That's correct.
So that to answer your question, there's a certain number of ports, which I would assume is a definite number, a finite number of ports that are within this, I forget what it is, 10 million pounds or whatever it is. But we know who it is, and it's not Newport, but we're competing.
Port of Alsea is a port.
Yeah.
Small.
But we're competing with all of them, so yeah, Mike, you're right, that is my question. We're competing with all these guys, and somebody's gonna get the money. So how is it decided, and what are the key sort of phrases that are used? Is it, economic vitality, and ours is more dire than somebody else's?
Those
Or
are
is
all
it because
being-
we have a unique jetty, we have a unique bar? I mean, what.
Those are all been, it's all being revised because the new small ports money is something that is brand new. And as far as our jetty, our bar, we're in constant contact with all of the ports. And we sit in these meetings and talk about those exact things, same things with the governor's representatives. They're the ones that are actually telling us how much it would cost to repair our jetties versus the work that has to be done with Port Orford and that sort of thing.
Yeah, okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the primary driver behind this now is Homeland Security and the Coast Guard. If you have a Coast Guard station on your port, you have a higher likelihood of being funded.
There's a reason we got dredged so quickly, and that's our Coast Guard.
Yeah. So the Coast Guard really helps us, and that's something that we have little control over, other than we are trying to be as friendly and cooperative as we can.
I think so.
Well, I think it's been said that, I think we have a warranty claim against the port, or the Corps of Engineers for improperly designing our jetty. I mean, it goes due west when it should go southwest,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's like, I think that little warranty claim here, maybe come in and just fix it.
We
for
can
us.
sue the federal government now.
Well, you sued the county, what's the difference?
Money.
Right ahead, everybody. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you. If you need,
No more money.
if you need people to write notes or people to, just let us know, because, I think this is really important. I think it's critical.
It is, it's critically
Would
important.
you be interested in going to Washington DC?
Well, yeah. Depending on what it is, yeah.
I may be speaking out of line, I'm speaking as an
Probably,
independent.
You are,
Definitely.
All right,
It's food for thought, gentlemen.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
RFP, we had a request for proposals for financials update. Is that led by?
staff again, and.
Well, we didn't.
We
yeah.
asked staff to look into
Right.
this and move forward because we
Right.
felt that the support has grown substantially and that the staffing load has not increased proportionate, so we were having difficulties maintaining the quality of financials that we would like to see, so we asked the staff to look at perhaps outsourcing some of the financial burden.
And what we actually did was, rather than put out a formal solicitation, because it was under the threshold of requirement, and Holloway locally is doing our payroll, we sat down and met with them, and we have contracted with them to start doing a turnover of certain aspects of our financials, so that we take a burden off of Dina, and also get a process that they get to look at how and give us suggestions on how they would see the financials done. And why don't you, Dina, tell them what your first meetings have been?
Well, I've been working with Michelle over at Holloway, and we're just working on basically daily receipt reconciliation and accounts receivable, accounts payable. And, you know, it's going very well. But I think it was decided that we didn't know how to RFP, because without them knowing exactly what we needed, they didn't know how to prepare a proposal.
Sure.
So,
And the cost of doing them are, you know, you don't want to do one if you don't have to, as long as it's under the threshold and you've got somebody local that's already doing it.
Yeah.
Just made sense not to spend the money to do an RFP. And they're extremely familiar with what we're doing, so that helps. And did you get them into Hercules or
yeah, she will have access to reports only.
reporting on it? So, which will help real well.
I think this also came from the SDAO risk analysis report, where we saw that we did not have sufficient safeguards with
Sure.
respect to the
Check-
cash.
no, it was
Separation of
bank
duties.
account, bank statement reconciliations, basically, you know, reconciling the end of the month bank statements. So they will be doing that.
They will be doing that,
Yes.
so we'll be able to put a yes in that column
Yes.
now.
I did them for December, and they will start doing them for starting in January forward.
What about the cash? Do we
They
have
are
a
taking,
separation
yeah,
of how-
I'm taking everything over to them. They're preparing the bank deposits, they're counting, they're verifying everything, and took them a sack of $116 worth of quarters today.
So we are going to be able to check mark yes on the SDO
Yes, we
report on
will.
that one, and
Yes, we
there were
will.
several others that we were working on too.
Not several,
Just
that was
one or
just
two?
the one,
Yeah.
Just
and there was
one?
some more training.
And training.
Training showing
mhm.
the sexual harassment. I think
Yep,
was one.
yep, and I'm working on getting the training schedule lined up. Hopefully we'll have that at the next meeting.
Good. Well, I
Okay,
appreciate that, thank you.
can we move on? Other items by commission? Anything? Old business that you'd like to bring up? Rehash? Argue about?
So I'm good.
I'm finished with rehashing old business. Yeah.
Good. New business. We need a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget and reappropriate funds. I'd like to ask Dina to explain that so we all understand one time before resolution's made.
There's been 2 grants, it basically says that in the resolution. 2 grants have been awarded to the Port of Siuslaw. One is a matching grant from special districts in the amount of $2,940 to pay for a network video recorder and 3 new security cameras. And the other one has been awarded from Business Oregon in the amount of $9,600 to pay for the bulkhead repair technical drawings.
Which we approved.
Which, yes,
And the
Seven
reason
meetings.
for the resolution is that this was not part of the adopted budget, so we have to
Correct.
include that into the new budget
Those-
As
We
a
can't
supplemental.
spend this money until it gets into that.
as
Right.
a supplemental to the
Right.
budget.
so this is a formality to allow us to change the budget and add these amounts into the fiscal year 2013-14 budget.
Would you care to entertain a resolution, a motion?
Make a motion to adopt resolution number 01-15-14A, with just the name only, resolution to adopt a supplemental budget to reappropriate funds. So we don't have to read the whole resolution.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. Good. Other items by commission, any new business you'd like to talk about?
Something that I would like to bring up in the future, just for us to think about, is to perhaps consider going to a every other month meeting schedule. By law, we are required to meet how often per year, Mr. Forsyth?
We have to check on that. For sure, I thought it was 4 times a year. We're looking at the meetings law by the state. It says, oh, no, it
Special
was special
districts.
districts. It said every month, so we've got conflicting. So I've got to verify which one that really is.
I'm just feeling that some of the meetings are really not so necessary or productive that it would require staff time to orchestrate, to make the minutes for us to approve, and that perhaps we might go to a once every other month, with the caveat that the president can always call a special meeting anytime. And that's something I would just like us to consider next month when we come together.
I personally would be opposed to that. I think, I know just from missing December, you just get out of touch. And I think once a month is a minimum that we should maintain. And I personally, I'm just throwing out there that I would be opposed to going any less than once a month.
And my personal opinion would echo that because, and that's my own schedule. I can't remember, I had to look at my computer tonight, say, is tonight the meeting?
Yeah.
You know, just from missing December.
And it's been forever since we met last time.
Yeah,
I
plus, I
think-
mean, we all like to see it though.
Well, again, I just
go
want-
out of. Excuse me,
You had a cough,
yes, I did, thank
Well,
you.
it was just something that I wanted to come up and have a discussion to talk about the financial implications and what we're actually trying to accomplish here. And what is the purpose of the board? How often should we get together? What is our mission? What is our goal? There's a lot of issues here that's associated with this one particular question.
And there is, and it's my position as a, you have to remember, you're part of this board, been part of this board for how many years? You have 4 other commissioners on here that are just starting to get their teeth sunk in a little bit.
I
And
understand.
I think things might be a little bit more livelier, you know, and with added growth, let's see what we can do.
No problem. I just
So-
wanted to broach that subject.
And you'd be welcome to bring that up at the next meeting when we have Ron and
That's what
Nancy back.
Yeah, and if that would be possible, if we could put
Sure.
that in an agenda item so we can talk
Sure.
about this and
Sure.
have some sort of a goal. I have no problem with once a month. I just don't want to overtax our staff on unnecessary.
We've just given most of her work to somebody else. She's probably has nothing to do.
I'm thinking
That was a
She
joke.
didn't even have to count the quarters now.
I think that might be debatable, but, and then the second I would like to put on the agenda is starting an endowment with LCC for a scholarship that would help people in the trades, like diesel mechanics, so that they can actually develop a skill that would be useful for our port. And perhaps Mr. Forsyth might be able to explain a little more so that we can get a permission to put this on the agenda.
What Bill's talking about is, it started with my wife and I putting together a scholarship fund with the LCC for folks, kids coming out of either Mapleton or Siuslaw that were not academically inclined to continue with school but would get into the trades. And I know they have diesel mechanics classes and electrical and some other things. And one of the things that I was looking at as we get into requiring, following our own rules about our boats and things in the marina being all, they have to function as navigable vessels on their own, that sort of thing. So I had called Mr. O'Connor heads up all of the trades classes at LCC. And they would be more than happy to, if we lined it up, put everything together, schedule it, bring the kids down here, use anybody that would like their help getting the diesel motors running and stuff, do it gratis as long as we, as long as the folks paid for their own parts and that sort of thing. They'd love to do it. That brought on another thought of, well, wait a minute, for $2,500 a year, you can put a kid through the LCC and some of these, and I thought, well, why not take advantage of the fact that, here we are and we can use that kind of, we'd love to keep that kind of people in town, keep these young folks staying here rather than going to school and leaving. And it was just another thought. I ran it past Bill, I ran it past Jay, just as a thought process, and I'd like you guys to think about it and see if there's not something that we might be able to help the local education in the trades, rather than sending our kids off to who knows where.
So I'm just asking the board for permission to put this on the agenda, and perhaps for staff to come back with a proposal that we might be able to consider that next month. I think it's $2,500 a year.
Yes, it is.
And that would be a contribution from the port for a trades scholarship. Is that something the board would entertain? Would like to
Yeah.
entertain?
I have no problem with that. I'm all for education. I'm all for,
Getting free work on your boat.
No, it's not a medical staff.
No.
Oh, that's, I didn't go there, Terry, I'm
do
sorry.
you want to go out in the ocean and go to the LCC?
Do you have some cement available?
Excuse me, but is it appropriate for me to comment on that?
Gary, you're talking to me, and yes, I will allow your comments since you were good enough to show up tonight. What's your comment, Gary?
Well, my comment is if you're gonna, have some endowment for diesel mechanics, that maybe you should consider someone that's a member of the working fishing fleet for a program like that.
That's something we'd be happy to have you talk to us, maybe at the next meeting.
Just a suggestion.
We're talking about bringing this in the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, well.
And I understand what you're
consideration for
saying.
you.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
If we can incorporate that
Thank
into the
you.
LCC requirements, when we do an endowment, we might be able to put specifics in there. That first, commercial fisherman, second would be, so I think we might be able to specify that.
Well, there's always been a preference, I won't say always, there's been programs in the past that had preference for commercial fishermen. Bill Mumpower comes to mind.
Mhm.
He was a commercial fisherman here, did real well with ODF&W on their program. Did real well for himself. And I think that's maybe what Gary's talking about, is take someone, you don't have to generally take a kid out of high school to do that. There might be a commercial fisherman or someone down on his luck down there that could
I'm
use
just
it.
thinking to tie in with, marine commerce, port.
I'm all for that,
Kind of thing.
absolutely. Sure. So if we can do that, that's a winner, a win-win.
And thank you for hearing me out there. I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're welcome. You lost my train of thought, though. I was gonna ask, can't remember what it was now. Anyway, any other questions, comments?
I believe there's also interest by a local company to bring a fiber optic cable landing onto the Port of Siuslaw's industrial property. And this is something that I would like to bring up. This company I have interest in, and we will, we may have an executive session next month to talk about the interest. And I just wanted to bring that up in public session and let everyone know that my interests are going to be as much disclosure as possible within the context of a business entity. And we'll have Mr. Wolf, our attorney, on available, and we'll be talking about the intricacies of this. But we do want to make this as transparent as possible, but at the same time, the business requires a certain amount of confidentiality. So that's something that we're going to have to thread through.
Well, I think that would come in an executive session, wouldn't it?
Yes. And I'm just making that
Right.
aware for the public to know that this is going to happen.
You won't redact everything.
Absolutely not.
That seems to be the word for 2014,
Yeah,
redacted.
It becomes complicated because there's competition with what we're trying to do, and there will be a certain amount of confidentiality required as a result of that. But from a public disclosure, everything will be absolutely disclosed according to the law.
Okay.
So,
Do we have anything working with a fish buyer?
Do we have anything?
Does the Port of Siuslaw have, I mean,
No.
at one time you talked, I can't remember the gentleman's name. Has that ever come to fruition?
Yeah.
Is something coming?
He's still working on it, trying to raise enough money and interest to come. In fact, he's contacted, has conversations with all sorts of people, with the chamber, with people from the Rotary. He's trying to make some headway, but yes, no, he has nothing solid yet. He hasn't raised enough money to make a offer to us of any sort.
I have a suggestion I would like to make. And it comes from my personal knowledge of the crab industry. Right now, we're getting down to the point where we're scratch crabbing. Price of crab is getting extremely high.
what's scratch crabbing? I'm not
Uh,
familiar.
The big grows of crab have been crabbed out, so we're scratching around looking for crabs,
okay.
small pockets, scratch crab is what they call it.
Okay.
Anyway, that's kind of a moot point, but what it does is, there's a lot of cash buyers now. When you come in with 8,000 pounds on your boat, a cash buyer isn't there to just say, hey, I'll take that load and go. You have to go try it in at Hallmark,
Yeah.
Pack Choice, whatever. They take the big amounts
Okay.
because they can handle a deal with it.
Sure.
But we're getting to the point now where there's a lot of cash buyers coming forward saying, hey, I'll give you $4 a pound for your crab, just bring it over here. And it's all legal, they got their seller's license, buyer's license,
Smaller amounts.
smaller amounts.
Or higher cash.
Pardon?
Higher cash,
They-
higher amounts.
They pay higher amount, they call them cash buyers because they generally write you a check right there, which is reported.
Cool.
But my point being is, it would be appropriate to contact these cash buyers and say, our hoist is available. Because right now at Newport, there's no other room on the wharf for a cash buyer because one cash buyer has got it all taken up.
Is there a list of the cash buyers that we can use, an email list, a phone list that our manager can call them and say, we're available?
Yes, there is, we could produce a list. I mean,
Let's do it.
Oh, absolutely.
because we have the dock space, we have, ice is not a requirement for crab.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, give me a list.
They come in with it, and we've sold crab to the buyers here, off our boat here. They will come here to get them.
Mhm.
Cool.
So I think it's something maybe we ought to look into
I like
because
that.
we do have the dock space, we have the hoist, and
Mhm.
Everything's available. Excellent.
Can you think of a way that we can promote our facility, market it, so that not just that we're here?
money talks,
What would make them come down here,
money.
and what kind
That's
of
gonna be
money?
the sole,
They're able to buy it cheaper, or are we able to provide the amenities at no charge? I mean, what's the
I would
angle-
say we'd
what's
have
the-
to provide it at no charge,
What's the
but
angle here?
the angle would be a convenience for the boats. If they could get boats out of Charleston to come here instead of going into the big cash buyers in Coos
Because
Bay,
it's crowded.
because it's crowded.
So, convenience,
Convenience would be
higher
first.
profit?
Yes, and the ease getting in and out.
Less
Just-
waiting time.
Yeah,
So
less waiting time.
convenience.
Sometimes you'll set up there for 2 days before you can unload your crab.
And that's money.
Yeah, well, it's time you aren't spent fishing.
So convenience and higher profits.
What it would do for the port would get you, it'd start getting you a little recognition from these cash buyers and, hey, this facility's available, guys, it's here.
Mhm.
Yes, Gary, you have a question?
I'd just like to add to that right up front here is a very, very lucrative area
Mhm.
for fishing. The contour of this ocean bottom out here, it makes for a certain amount of flow. I see fishing depends upon currents and things like that. I was just up at the lookout last night and looked down there, and we've got about 8 or 9 boats within sight of the lookout at the state park.
All in front
down
of
here.
Driftwood Shores.
All working up here, and this is some of the most lucrative ground out here.
So why
And
not?
this is something that I've brought up a number of times before. It's not just crab, it's salmon
Yeah, they have
and
to
the
be
other
able to
things
cross
too.
the bar too.
So why
That
not?
is a consideration, Dave. But this last
Certainly
month,
is,
we could have
but,
crossed any day.
Another issue that we were talking about earlier is what makes our port available for these funds is tonnage. And so if we can get, if we
Not
can,
anymore.
not anymore?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt,
Yeah, but I mean,
doesn't hurt,
but it's part of the economic
Yes.
issue.
It absolutely is, yeah.
absolutely.
Economics.
Well, plus the money it would bring into this port.
May I ask Gary something?
Sure.
Gary, in your opinion, how would we market the port? I mean, besides convenience, profitability, what about, what other terms can you think of that we could lure these cash buyers down here? Because I know our manager is very interested in getting some marketing.
A term, I guess, would be, make them feel welcome, reach out, and be hospitable. And I think you're fighting some image problems here, Bill, to be quite honest with you.
So we can say there's always coffee available? Or, I mean, donuts.
They know there's
The lights,
coffee
the
here.
light's always on, I mean,
They know there's coffee and more here.
We have a great facility over there in the dock, in the hoist area. That used to be lined with commercial crab holding tanks. Sales open to the public. There's a lot of things there. to
So-
keep
so
it
that-
on.
That was
It's sitting
my
there
ambition
unused.
here a couple
so
years
what
ago.
amenities do we need to add? Do we need to have a little coat room or something that people can come in and enjoy? I mean,
No, we
what-
want them to go to Moe's and the Jay's to spend their money.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I think
No,
that's,
I understand.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion, but scale, forklift, place to stash it,
that stuff doesn't come free though. That's money for the port.
a scale, a knuckle that fits on the boom so they can weigh and do the tear,
Oh, yeah.
an aluminum dump, notifying the salmon buyers, the crab buyers. I mean, these guys they're in business year round, and they're already going up and down the coast.
They drive by us every day of the week, hauling product, and they will come in here if there's a buyer here to weigh our crab and take it.
So we could put a digital scale in line with the hoist
Yes.
with a probably a Wi-Fi broadcast ability, so that as they're bringing it off, they can actually look on their iPad or whatever and know exactly what the weight is, the tear.
They'll have a digital
It'll be a
readout right
digital
on it, and
readout.
they just log it on the fish ticket. Everything has to be logged on fish tickets that's landed, so it's already being recorded for the state.
And that's what they do in Newport.
That shouldn't cost that much. Is that something that staff might be interested in exploring?
Let me interject, some of the buyers, the larger buyers will come in with
I
their
was
own
gonna say,
scale.
bring their own
stuff.
scales.
But we're talking about cash buyers who are not that large.
No, these
So-
are,
So this is an
They're
amenity
large
that
enough
we
to do
might
that?
want to
yeah,
provide.
they're large enough to do that. They're cash, we're not talking about the farmer's market coming over and buying one load.
Mhm.
I mean, we're talking about people that, we call them cash buyers because they generally Trident, you gotta take your load in and wait 3 weeks for your
Mhm,
check.
mhm.
They aren't a cash buyer.
Just a suggestion, Bill, if you really wanna check it out, go down at, I've got the guy's number in my phone, his name's Larry, and he manages the commercial dock at Winchester Bay.
Mhm.
And they have a scale there, a little shack to pull their forklift in and keep, fish ticket records and things like that there. They're very, very, very bare bones, we could do it very easily here. It'd be
So that,
easy.
those would be amenities that we're looking to incorporate into our existing facility that would be minimum cost, would give us maximum marketing.
I think it'd be
Place to
my
start.
opinion, and it's not my place to say, but if we went in this and saying, we got a facility here that's not generating us a dime, let's give this facility to someone, let them generate some income, let them spend their money here in the local area and see where it goes. Everybody, I think Newport, they're paying 5 to 6% of the catch that they unload to the Port of Newport. They're fed up with paying the Port of Newport 5 or 6% the cash buyer is, because that's ultimately coming from the fishermen.
So the cash buyer is willing to put the amenities in if we forego the 5%.
If we just say, here's our
There's a
facility,
rate
come in and use it.
established in Winchester Bay, which is like $0.015 a pound,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, I think that we need to look at the numbers. and see if there's any way we can at least recover our costs. That's minimally.
What costs will we, okay, and I agree with you, I appreciate you saying that.
Wear and tear. I mean, just minimally wear and tear.
Wear and tear.
Utilities.
Yeah, and
And
utilities.
utilities.
And after that, I mean, if a inline digital scale is $1,200, and that's going to really help the marketability of our port, I don't see why we should be penny wise and dollar foolish. Let's get one. Make it so that it's easy for people to come in here and do business here.
When they bring their boat in here and unload their crab, they're also, you're gonna run the forklift over there, you're gonna see Jason go flying by here with a forklift, and then he's on the clock for the crab bar. I mean, that's added income for the port. That's where you're gonna make your money.
We should make this so easy for cash buyers and the commercial fishing fleet to come in here, offload, sell, and get out. That's the name of the game.
It's there, it's sitting there waiting for us to do it, we need to do it, so. I would come up with a list of potential buyers and submit their name to you.
And can you also put in suggested amenities?
We've got it.
You got it.
Dina and I have been to all the ports that you're
So-
talking
so
about.
you-
We've seen how they do it. We know how they sell it. What you're missing is a fish buyer.
The middleman.
Okay,
Yeah, we know exactly what they are.
what's it gonna take?
A fish buyer.
That's right, so what's it gonna take to get a fish buyer?
Once he gives us a list, because I've had a list of fish buyers and I've called them.
Yeah,
We've done our job with this.
okay.
So,
Well, we'll keep pushing on this.
absolutely.
We'll figure it
So
out.
If, when Terry gives me the list of the crab one, then that might be a start to it, if we can get that tickle out there and get it started.
Because you're requiring the ice.
Yeah, perfect,
Yeah, that's good.
perfect. Good suggestion, Terry. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Once more around the horn, anything,
I'm happy.
staff? Good?
I just want to make sure that we've done something with regard to Nancy and her situation, flowers,
We're
whatever.
waiting for a call back to find out what the total situation is.
Okay, just as long as she knows we're.
Oh, yeah.
We're aware. Yeah, I appreciate that.
If we hear anything, we will let you know.
Absolutely.
And she needs to know that we're.
Right,
Oh,
yeah, we will take care of that.
On a lighter note, maybe we ought to call Ron and ask if he needs money to get home. He's gambling.
Well, maybe just let him be there
I-
for a while, yeah. You did a good job tonight, Terry.
Yeah.
Thank you. At
Just for the record.
7:56, we're going to adjourn the meeting.
Well, we have reports.
Wait.
I just asked for the reports.
Oh, well, but there's something on here.
Okay.
Okay, I thought you were still under new business, going
No, we were.
through other new
Yeah.
business.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Reconvene the meeting.
I'd like to reconvene the meeting,
Okay.
sorry.
I put committee reports because at the beginning of your term, everyone signed up to be attending some meetings, and I would just like at every meeting for us to just kind of go around the room and let the public know if you have attended any meetings, and if so, what the progress is with the organization that you have been assigned to. Now, Commissioner Caputo has signed up for a few of them, but we've just. I would just kind of like. I think it would be good to just kind of let the public know where we're at on progress.
I'll start by saying the Oregon Coastal Zone Management Association, which was the meeting I was assigned to, I have not attended yet. So,
The Mapleton Commercial Area Owners Association has never met, and I'm not sure whether it's still even viable, but that's the only committee I'm on, and there has not been any meetings, to my knowledge.
And I'm on the Florence Area Chamber of Commerce, and I haven't been to a meeting yet.
I have.
Thank you.
Should we incorporate this into our standing agenda, where we actually have the, under reports, we have these itemized, so that we have a tickler that we remember, or is this something that we're going too detailed?
I
No.
could, if I may make a suggestion, I could just keep it the way it is on the agenda as committee reports, and if anyone attends a meeting, they are prepared to give just a real quick synopsis of what.
And just keep this part of our permanent package.
It kind of gives me a tickler that maybe I better try to attend a meeting. Staff, do you have any meetings that you've attended that,
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You think?
well, it kind of makes it look good.
Absolutely. No, Jay, you're the alternate to the chamber. I meet with the chamber in two different fashions, one the Old Town group and two the main chamber on a monthly basis. Main chamber one actually twice a month. Obviously, Lane County Act, I attend those meetings. Ron is the elected official to go to that, and once we get our schedules down, we'll either alternate or he'll take it over or what have you. But it's that one's very important one to go to, although you don't get home from Eugene until around 9:30 because they're all locals there for the most part. But it's very interesting because it's a lot of local officials, a lot of the local mayors, all dedicated to transportation issues, water included, bike, ped, all of the transportations that you can think of. We've made some really good contacts. Next week we're meeting with Franny Brindle, who's coming. She is the director of ODOT for the Area 5. I've met her through this group. She's coming out here to talk to us about various signage and stuff that the port can have, and because we're in an odd area, how do we get legally get signs that tell people where we're at? Also, the bridge, we need right now, because ODOT's staffing issues and dollar issues, if you need an emergency bridge to open, you gotta call the guy down in Reedsport. I've been lobbying her to say, wait a minute, we've got first responders here that are very capable, fire department, police department, Coast Guard. Why can't we get those folks involved so we can get the bridge? It's pretty well computerized now. Let's get the bridge open like now, rather than waiting, once they find the guy, he's gotta come up here and do that sort of thing. So, Lane County Act is a very, very good group of people. OPPA and PNNWA, they're almost all the same kind of meetings, like I've talked about with the dredging, primarily dredging and jetties on all of the rivers. The PCC is the Pacific Coast Congress of Harbor Masters and Port Managers. I've got involved with them. Good group of people to be involved with. They range from, we have members from San Francisco to Kodiak, and it's a really good, you can put a question on their email list and you get like 13 answers immediately. They're really good, very knowledgeable. They're the people that warned us about the feeding tube, the grinder at the fish station, and how it impacted in the public and the floral and fauna of the areas where you end up with seal pups that are dying because they don't know how to fish because they've been sitting at the tube for 2 years. Once you shut the tube off,
Yeah, they
the
start.
public just doesn't want to see that. So different things like that. Good group of people. We've talked about PNWA, big trip to DC. Special districts, continually meet with our special districts folks. That's where you've got all your pamphlets and all of those. And then the WELOG is what I was talking to the chief about. That's a monthly meeting, and I attend that, and there are the Western Lane Emergency Response Group, whether it be earthquake, fire, and we participate them. We have radios in here that we test every month. A different group, but the same kind of thing for emergency, so that we have a channel when emergencies break out, whether it be earthquake, tidal wave, fires, whatever. We're in line and know how to get a hold of all of the EOC, the emergency office, so and where to report when we have to do that sort of thing. So stay busy with those things.
The Special Districts Association meeting is coming up in February. When I was on the board of directors of Central Lincoln, it was highly encouraged that all of the directors attend each of those SDAO meetings, not just for the entertainment value, but because they have some really incredible workshops, from governance to Robert's Rules of Order to you name it, they have it. I felt that I benefited quite a bit from attending those meetings over the years. And the purpose of making this statement is that I believe that the commissioners of the Court of Sias should be also encouraged. And I believe this is an expense that the court would incur.
We do.
But I do believe that it would be of benefit to not just the commissioner, but to the people of the district for all of us to attend. And I know that it's difficult to carve time out of our schedule to do it, but it's really quite productive when you go up there and meet other people.
So far,
doing the same
Ron's going
thing.
up. Yeah,
Right.
Ron's going up. I'm sending Richard up. He's new to it. Dina and I have been to multiples, but I know Ron's going up.
But it's great to connect with people who
Really
are
is.
also in other special districts and see what their trials and tribulations are. So there's a lot of value to
There is.
that type of activity. Just
Good.
thinking about it.
And that is February 7th through the 10th in Seaside.
Yes.
Is it too late to register?
No.
So,
Anything else?
is there a policy that we have as far as commissioners attending the SDO, or do we just
No.
step up and say, I'd like to go?
Yeah.
So it's not just the chairman?
Oh, no. Ron just happened to, and I think
Yeah.
Ron's been involved with other groups that were involved with special districts, so he knows how good
mean,
they are.
Previous years, it was sort of like, you were really encouraged to go. I'm wondering how the board feels about having commissioners go to these events now. I really don't want to, because I'm interested in going, but I don't want to look like I'm subrogating
Oh, I
what
see
Ron is doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Everybody should go that's interested in them. They're very good.
Is that how,
And we have money
That's how I
to do it.
feel.
okay. Jay, you feel the same way?
Yeah.
Okay. I may be interested in going then.
Excellent. Cool.
No.
Anything else?
Now, quick before
8:07,
Dina
let's
stops.
adjourn the meeting.
Good job, Terry.
Good job, Terry.